Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that everybody is well, that things are great for you wherever you are. My name is Shay Dotson, and I am with Therap Services. Um, Apologize. We are going to get this session started today. Um, we are here this afternoon to talk about the Alabama intellectual and developmental disabilities providers and your use of the GER for your incident management. So this particular training is specific to Region 3, and we are super excited to have you all here. Um, just a little bit of a disclaimer, we are going to go over information as it relates to how you are using Therap for the incident management process. The information that we are giving to you is general guidance, and everything that we say is subject to your rules and regulations as provided by ADMH as well as your provider. Nothing that we are saying or suggesting should take precedence over the required support and care, or impede the human intervention or interaction with the individuals that you're providing supports for. Nothing that we are saying should ever have a negative impact on the individual's well-being. So everything that we are offering is certainly to make lives better and not worse. So please make sure that in any and everything that we suggest or that the guidance that you get from us, that it follows what is required from ADMH and your agency, that you are following your state and federal regulations as it relates to the use of our Therap system. Okay. With that being said, a little bit about us as presenters. So from the Therap side, you have myself. My name is Ashaya Dotson. Everybody knows me by my nickname, Shay. I am a state implementation specialist, and I am currently the project lead for our Alabama IDD contract for GER. We also, and just a little bit about me, if you've never met me or been inside of any of my trainings, I live in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Rise up for my Falcon fans out there. We also have with us Katie Lilly, and she's a training and implementation specialist. She is living currently in Alabama. And we have Mr. Devin Hardy, who is also with us, and he's a training and implementation specialist. Devin and Katie, would you like to say anything to the people this afternoon? Oops, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoy the training.
So I'm sure that Devin will say hello a little bit later on. Um, we also have the pleasure of having some of your regional people that are here with us. And so I'm super excited that Jean Long is on this webinar today as a part of our Region 3 panelists. So we're super excited to have team members from ADMH that are going to be here with us and participating in the conversation. We're going to have a question and answer session where you as providers will be able to make sure that you can get those answers that you need for your specific understanding of how you're supposed to do your incident management. So Jean, thank you so much for joining us, and a little bit later on we'll definitely give an opportunity for you to say hello and answer any of those questions. So thank you for being on. All right. So just really quickly, I want to go into um, what we're going to cover today. We're going to do a review of our Alabama incident, our Alabama IDD resources on the Therap webpage. We're going to do a review of GER privileges. We're going to talk about the life cycle of the GER resolution for your investigations, multi-provider SCOM, and then we will go into our question and answer. But before we get into all of that, we would like for you all to give us some information. Yes, so if you thought you were just going to come on the webinar and not have to participate, we want this to be interactive. So here we go. We're going to do a couple of polls that we'd like you to respond to. So first and foremost, we want you to answer the question, have you attended a Therap or ADMH GER training recently? Okay. So I'm launching that poll. And if you will do us a favor, let us know. Have you attended a training within the last 3 months, within the last 6 months? You were trained by somebody at your agency, or you have never received training um, with regards to incident management using the Therap system for GERs. Again, if you will answer that question for us, when is the last time you attended a training? Has it been within the last 3 months, the last 6 months, or longer? You were trained by somebody at your organization. You have never been trained. So we have about 67% of the vote that is in. Thank you so much for you all participating in this. We're waiting on a few more people to answer that question, and then we will share the results. So we have about 73%. Again, just waiting on a couple more people to answer, and we will share the results. All right, we'll go ahead and close this poll out. And I'm going to share the results. So based on those who are currently attending and answered the poll, we have majority of people have had training within the last 6 months or longer. We have 36% would say that they have been trained to use the GER and do incident management by somebody at their organization, and a couple people who are just brand new to the process. So we are excited. We thank you for joining us today. I think that because of the variety of people that we have here, it should make for a very interesting training, and one that I think will end up being very fruitful for everyone. All right, here we go. We are going to go to the next one. Okay. And so in this second question, we want to know what kind of roles you are playing in the use of the GER or putting in incidents within your organization. So at my agency, are you the person who is responsible for submitting the GERs, reviewing the GERs, approving the GERs, providing follow-up to ADMH? And it might be that you take on a number of different roles. Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. So we've got about 33%. We've got 60% of the vote in. Waiting on a few more people to answer. A few more people to answer. And we will close this poll out. All right, I see a hand up. Just make sure everybody is okay before we close the poll out. Rosa, hopefully you are able to answer the poll. And just so you guys know, if you need to communicate anything to us, you have a question, you need to raise your hand for some reason, feel free. There's a question section within this webinar that allows you to communicate with us and to ask questions as we go along in this presentation. So Rosa, if there was something that you needed to ask, do feel free to write that in that question section, and either myself, Katie, or Devin will be sure to respond. Okay, I've got about 87% of everybody who's here that has responded. Just a couple more seconds for anybody else who wanted to give an answer about what their roles are within the GER functionality. Are you a submitter? Do you review? Are you a person that approves? And are you the person that follows up with the ADMH? Anybody else want to respond before I close that out? Okay, very good. All right, so we had about 93% of the people who responded to the poll. Thank you so much. I am going to close this out and I am going to share the results. So we see that the bulk of people who are here, your responsibility within the GER process is to submit the GERs. Okay. We see that there is a smaller percentage of people who are responsible for reviewing. 36% are involved in the approval process, and about 7% of you, a smaller percentage, are the people who follow up with ADMH. Okay, so again, thank you so much for providing that information for us. That helps us in how we shape this conversation to help you and to help this webinar be something that is, again, fruitful and gives you information that makes your job more effective and efficient. So we are done with those polls and we are going to go ahead and log in and get started. Okay. So the first thing that I want to just sort of reference and go over, and I'm just going to pause my screen for a minute while I switch. We're going to talk about a number of things today. And to make sure, again, that we are able to go over information that is pertinent to what you do and your organization. So give me just a moment. All right, so we are at the Therap website, and on our website, we have lots of interesting information always available for you. Want to make sure that you know that we have Facebook Live um, sessions that we're doing every Friday at 2 p.m. So you'll notice that we're going to start putting some advertisement on our pages regarding that. Alabama is one of the communities of practice for Charting the Life course. So if you're interested in learning about that person-centered planning framework, you certainly are welcome to join us on Facebook Live for that. With regards to what we're going to cover today, we have an Alabama Therap resource page. And so before I even go there, by a show of hands, meaning that you can click on the hand next to your name in your screen, by a show of hands, how many are familiar or use the Alabama IDD resource webpage on Therap? By a show of hands, how many people are using that? All right, I see Heather's got her hand up. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Sherry. Got a couple of hands going up. Okay, so it is a good thing for us to review where that resource is for you because there's lots of great information that's available for you there. Okay, our website has changed just a little bit. So if you are used to coming in, you might have come into our older page and there was an automatic link for your states, and sometimes when things get updated or new, it may seem like, oh man, where did my information go? But with Therap, as with many websites, there's a variety of ways that you can get to that information. So I'm going to click on the menu here. You can come over to this section and click on states, and that will take you to our overall page that has our various state contracts. Alabama IDD is the top web page right there. You just simply click on that link and it's going to bring you to a web page that has all kinds of resources that are specific to Alabama and what ADMH is requiring of you. And so the first thing that we see that's on all of our minds, of course, is how do we manage and track everything that's going on with COVID? And so there's a lot of resources that are available here that have been sent to you by ADMH. There was an email that went out. There was also an iContact that came out from Therap regarding this information, and we also have placed these links on your page. So all of this is relevant information to you as providers. As we go into the training, Devin and will refer to some things that are in that COVID-19 memo that are relevant to how you track information. With regards to how you're doing your regular incident reports, it's important to be able to have a copy of that incident mapping document. And so we have a link here. Many of you may have already gone to this page to see our upcoming webinars that we're going over. But you have this section here that covers a lot of information that gives you guidance. Again, another link to that incident management document, frequently asked questions, how do you deal with misidentified GERs, and the Alabama mortality report flow chart. Okay, so all of that information is there and available to you. We have these resources, and we just want to make sure that you know that that is available to you, so that as we go over information, if you have any questions about that, you can then refer back to it. We have additional things down here, and each of these sessions are being recorded. So after we are finished with all of them, we're going to send them to our team for editing, and we will have some updated trainings here in our recorded webinars. So if there's something that you needed to come back to, refer back to that we went over in this section, you'll have the ability to do so. You also have the ability at the bottom of the page that if you needed to reach out and contact us, our information, our pages down here, that you can go and find us as team members. Okay, we're all available and on here. Katie is all the way at the end, but all of our information is available to you. Okay, all right. So we have shown you where those resource pages are. Again, I'm going to just pause so I can switch the screen. The next thing that we want you to do, or to go over with you, which we think is pretty important, is understanding your privileges within the Therap system. So again, I'm going to come back to this section, and on our help and support page, we have some resources that are available. This is where you can come, and if you needed to search out our user guides or things of that nature, you would be able to find that information. So I'm going to type in here, and if you've sat in any of my trainings before, you know that I'm always going to refer to this because I think this document is very helpful for you to understand the basics of our system. The Therap system runs off of privileges and caseloads. Okay, it runs off of either administrative privileges that allows you to do certain setup features and functions, but as it relates to GER, those are called super role privileges. Okay, that gives you access to the module and determines what level of documentation you can do. And your caseload represents the individuals who are receiving services through a certain program at a certain site. And that caseload tells you I have these privileges for this electronic module, and these are the individuals that I can do that on. But sometimes understanding what you can do or can't do based on the privileges that you have can get a little confusing. And so one of the things that I always suggest that people look up in our system or have as a part of their library is a user guide called List of All Roles. So you can type that in the search area and then click on List of All Roles here. And it's going to give you a breakdown of all the different privileges based on the various modules that you are using within our system. And again, today we are focused only on the GER and GER resolution and some other things like multi-provider, SCOM, and things of that nature, okay? Because those are the things that are within your ADMH contract. Any of these additional modules that you might see here, in order for you to have those, you would have to, as a provider, purchase those beyond your GER contract, okay? And certainly if there's anything that we mentioned that you're interested in, you could just let us know and we'll put you in contact with the right person. Related to what we're talking about, we're going to focus on the super roles, and we are focusing on GER, so general event reports is how you do your incident management within the Therap account. And so when you click on that, it's going to show you all the particular roles that you have in order to make sure that people have access to what they need. Now, in this particular session, I am going to just kind of give a brief overview of this because I want to give Devin plenty of time to cover the actual use of the system and make plenty of time for our Q&A session. So In the life cycle of the GER, that starts with being able to submit a GER or an event or an incident report, as you would normally call it, within your system. The next level above that, after it's submitted, is you have a team of people who are responsible for editing and reviewing that information to make sure that everything that needs to be captured, investigated, included in that documentation is prior to it going to the next level, which is the approval. Okay. Once it goes to the approval, what happens with that is within your organization, somebody is approving that. And when that information gets approved, it's sealed off in your account, but it then floats up to the oversight account, which is where Sonia and her team would then review that and respond and ask for any additional information as needed. Okay. So it is important for you to understand the life cycle of the GER and what happens with that. After that has been approved, then the next part of what happens in that life cycle is that it goes to a follow-up status. Okay. And so maybe Sonia and somebody on her team have looked at it and they said, okay, we got part of the information, but we didn't get everything. So now they're sending communication back to you in the form of a follow up that you then need to respond to. Okay. And Devin will go through that process to let you know what that looks like in action. Beyond that, we have, of course, Ger Delete. If you made a mistake on a GER, only a few people probably within your organization have that particular privilege. But it is important to know that in the life cycle of the GER, if someone has indicated that abuse, neglect, or exploitation is suspected, it bypasses the regular cycle. So again, normally it would go from somebody has submitted it and now it's going to go to the next team that review it. If someone says that they suspect abuse, neglect, or exploitation, it will only go to the group of people who have the abuse, neglect, and exploitation super role in their or privilege in their super role. So it bypasses the normal functionality and only goes to those people. And for other people, it's almost like that GER disappeared in thin air. Okay. So important to realize that. In addition to that, there are times when you are submitting incident reports that require additional investigation, and you use within our system what we call the GER resolution. Okay. And so you'll want to make sure that those who are responsible for that additional follow-up have both GER resolution view and edit within their super roles. If you are unsure, if you are a provider administrator and you are unsure about how do I go in and check and update these particular roles, please make sure that you sign up for one of our training sessions. We have a couple of them left on this Thursday and next Tuesday, where you can come and learn about those administrative functionalities. We're not going to spend time on that today, but you can register for those, and we will make sure that you have the information that you need to be able to, as a super admin or provider administrator, function and do what you need to do, or make sure your users have what they need. All right. I have spent enough time talking. Without further ado, I'm going to pass this over to Devin, who will now walk you through the use of the GER within the Therap system.
Thank you, Shay. Good afternoon to everyone on the call. Real quickly, just wanted to go over the process of the GER as it relates to the state of Alabama Department of Mental Health. Sonia, at any time that you want to elaborate on certain pieces of the GER as we move to, through this, please feel free to jump in.
Okay, thank you.
So we can be clear to those providers that are on call exactly what you're looking for as GERs are coming across your dashboard and your team's dashboard. So let's get started. As Shay stated, the Alabama page is a wealth of knowledge, and you will find on the Alabama page the Alabama incident mapping, kind of like I guess you could say it's like the Bible for the state of Alabama in terms of incident management. So this Alabama incident mapping document is found on the Alabama page. If you have not printed this out. It is a printable document that you can print out, as well as have multiple copies, or you can always come back to the Alabama page to find it. The Alabama Incident Mapping document, of course, gives you what type of incident. In terms of the GER type, you need to select your notification levels. You have the ADMH definitions of each type of incident, and you have the time frame in which you are to notify ADMH. Please note that this time frame here is based upon, I think, the call time. And I think eventually you will move to a 48-hour period in which you have to submit all GERs within 48 hours. Right now it's 72 hours you have, but I think that time is being dropped down to 48. Am I correct, Sonia? Jean, someone?
I'm sorry. Yeah, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be a new IPMS standard that's coming out, but we haven't completed it at this time.
Okay.
So it's a work in progress, but there are some changes that's going to happen.
All right. So make sure you pay attention to this mapping document, and of course those revisions will be made after the state make their final revisions to the new policies and procedures. So I'm just going to use, for the example of this GER, as I always use, let's just go to the one, a fall. So looking at our fall period, you know, there it is. Our notification level is a medium and all of that. So let's just jump into the system and fill it out. But I'm sorry, before I do, I'm jumping the gun. Shay alluded to this earlier on the Alabama page, because I'm going to use an example of this as well. Anything that's related to COVID-19 will not be on the Alabama Incident Mapping document if it's related to COVID-19, but it is on your Alabama page. If you come to your Alabama page and just click on the link that says COVID-19 memo, there you will find your types, how you need to code it for your GERs if it's COVID-19 related, okay? Just wanted to point that out. That's where you'll find it. So it won't be on the Alabama Incident Mapping document. It will be on the COVID-19 memo is where you'll find how to code those in your time frames and so forth as it relates to filling out a GER that's COVID related. Now let's log in. So again, to do a GER, I'm going to my individual tab and general event reports. I'm going to say new. I'm going to pick my program and my person. Always want to double check, as I always say, individual and program. Those things are already done for you. If it's the wrong person or the wrong program, we always know, click on the word dashboard and we can start over again. All right, we can't make any changes to that. Event date, report date. Reported by. These three fields are required fields that are pretty much already filled out for us. Therap does operate under the good faith assumption that we know we're going to enter in these incident reports in a timely manner. Hopefully as soon as the incident takes place, we're jumping inside the system and entering in this GER. However, depending on the severity of that incident and depending on our workload, because if we are managers and we have to do this type of we're the ones that submitting it, or staff too, depending on the workflow and the care that we have to provide, sometimes we can't always submit the GER the same day the incident takes place. So I just wanted to point out that the event date and the report date, the event date will be the date that the incident occurred. The report date will be the date that you enter into the system. The event date is the date the incident occurred, and the report date is the date you enter into the system. Reported by, you'll always see your name there as the reported by. It's auto-populated, but if you need to change it, you can simply click in the drop-down and change it to who is the reporter. Reporter's relationship to the individual, most of the time we're filling this out, so we're the staff. And then you get to your event type. So I'm going to select injury. since we're using the fall. And according to our Alabama incident mapping document, a fall is a medium. Location, all of these things, these fields do not have a red asterisk, but a little handy trick here. If I just select program and site, the system will automatically populate the program and site if you have that loaded into your programs and sites, which we covered this morning in our administration call. Describe what happened before the event. This section is the section where you're painting a picture. Your GER should paint a picture to your incident managers and those who are reviewing your GER. So we're trying to paint a picture. We're not giving out all the information of the GER and the details of the GER here where it says describe what happened before the event. We're literally looking for what happened before that incident occurred. So this is more the antecedent of what happened or what that individual was doing before the injury took place. Okay. You do have 3,000 characters here in this box. Hopefully you won't need the whole entire 3,000 characters to do so, but there are 3,000 characters available. Under abuse, neglect, and exploitation, we hope all of these things are no, but in the event we said that we suspected abuse and you say yes, you will get the pop-up where you can click in the drop down and select what type of abuse or neglect or exploitation. However, just know anytime you select other on there, when you see the other option in the drop down field, you will have to type the other in the other box, okay? As long as you say no, you won't see the pop-up. So that's step one. We've entered in step one. Step two talks about, we're getting into a little bit more detail about the incident itself. So in step two, we have under event injury, we have time of injury. Please note that anytime you enter in time into Therap, you have to enter in real time. Whether you're in your live account or in your test mode account, you are entering in real time, meaning you're not using your crystal ball if you have one that can foretell the future and say that this incident is going to happen at 5 p.m. this afternoon. The system will not allow it. We are using real time. So you're using the current time or past time, not a future time. Also with this case, if that incident was discovered, and I'll start there first. If the incident was discovered, you always want to mark it that it was discovered, and for time of injury, you're going to mark it unknown. And then you have to put in your discovered date and time if you discovered that particular injury, okay? If the injury was observed, meaning you physically saw it happen, you're going to mark it observed, and then you just simply put in your time of injury. So I can say that this injury happened at 1 o'clock p.m. Notice I can use the up arrows for the hours, up and down arrows for minutes, or if I just simply click on the number, I can select my hour, and then if I did it for the minutes, it will show it in 5-minute increments, and then I can select and then use my up and down arrows if need to. Specific location, we don't have a red asterisk, but again, we want to fill this out because we're painting a picture. We are the artists and we want to paint as much of a clear picture as we possibly can. So for a specific location, I said he was walking down the hallway. Hallway is one of my options. I can go in here and select hallway. Now, type, cause, and severity, they are required fields. We have a red asterisk. So for my type, again, for this one, I'm just going to say picking one. I'm trying to pick one from a scenario that's good. There we go. Swelling. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My cause, it was a fall. Remember, we're doing based on our incident mapping document. It is a fall. Injury severity. You have very minor all the way to death. But again, based upon the incident mapping document, be sure you look at that mapping document or have it next to you while you fill out your GER to help you select. All right.
And
So
Debbie,
I'm
is
going
there
to,
a way for providers to review that mapping document while they're in the GER if they don't have it pulled up?
See if you could get the volume on here.
so if you click on the question mark while you're inside the GER, if you don't have it printed out, right here, this question mark next to event injury, you will see right here the Alabama incident mapping document that will allow you to open it up. Or you can always, if you have it open up at the very top across your tabs, you can pull it up that way as well. Okay. Color and size. I am going to leave color and size. It does not have a red asterisk, so I can leave it blank. However, color and size is a piece of detail that you may want to actually include in your summary, and we strongly encourage you to include that in your summary. Not many of us walk around, or if you do, I tip my hat off to you, but a lot of our staff, we don't walk around with tape measures and so forth in our back pockets or in our pockets measuring the incidents and the size of the injury as the incident occurred and so forth. But I always like to instruct people to write it down in the summary because it helps you with painting your picture. Okay. Body parts. You have your drop down screen in which you can select your body parts, or if you use the body diagram, you can click on that body diagram and highlight the various body parts. Okay. And once you highlight, you can click submit. Treatment by time of treatment, treatment date. These fields as well does not have a red asterisk. However, if you know this information, we strongly encourage you to put this information in. A lot of times, if our direct support staff at our agencies are the ones that submitting this GER, then of course, when the nurse or manager at the agency review it, a lot of times they will come in and put this information in, especially the nurse if they're reviewing it and they're the ones that providing treatment, unless directed by staff to do so, directed to staff to do so. So if I know my time of treatment, I can go ahead and put this information in. And I'm just going to say ER/hospital just because I wanted to show you, I'm going to show you the COVID-19 piece as well with this scenario. So I'm just going to select ER/hospital visit. My time of treatment, I'm just going to say that we arrived to the hospital at 1:30 p.m. That's what time we arrived. Treatment date, if different than event date. So again, if my treatment is happening the same day that my incident took place, I can leave this blank. But if I said my incident occurred yesterday and I'm doing it today and I'm providing treatment today, then I would need to go in and put in today's date for treatment. Excuse me, for treatment. Hopefully everyone understand that. Injury photo. You have the option to attach a photo. If your agency has signed waivers and consent forms by the individuals or their legal guardians or their power of attorneys giving you permission to take pictures of them, then again, you may want to attach an actual photo of the injury here to this particular GER so that it will stay within the GER, and when Sonia and her team reviews it, they can actually see the actual injury. Summary. Again, here's where we want to finish painting the picture of what happened and give all the details and paint that crystal clear picture that any reader who's reading this GER shouldn't have any additional questions. Remember, good documentation always answer the questions that we learned in grade school: the who, the what, the when, the where, how, why, if such. If you go through those things those questions while you're writing your documentation, it will help you paint that crystal clear picture of what happened of the incident. So this is where you want to include that. You also want to include in your summary, because we don't have color and size required in those fields, you may want to include what color was the injury here. If it was a bruise, what color was the bruise? If it was a bruise and it's about the size of a golf ball, then you may want to say bruise is about the size of a golf ball. It helps the readers clearly see how big that injury was. If there was a witness, you may want to include it in your summary here. Co-worker, fellow staff member Susan or Katie witnessed the incident taking place. You want to include all of those things here. You have 4,000 characters to do so. So you want to include that in your summary, okay? All right, so you can get a clear picture of what's going on, and I would elaborate even more and all of that. So I'm going to say next. Okay. So step 1, step 2 is done of our GER. This page right here simply gives us a recap or a small version of what we put in for step 2. So we have what type of event. So it was an injury, and you see where we have maybe the first sentence or so of our summary. If I needed to edit that and say I forgot something, I can click the edit button here, open it back up, and I can edit it. If by chance all of it was wrong, I can click the remove button and add a new type of event, injury. Changing my scenario here just to show you how the COVID works. So because we said Royce is going to the ER, we sit in the waiting room at the ER, and we later found out during the course of our ER visit that there was someone in the waiting room that tested positive to COVID-19, and they were very close to Royce. They were within 3 feet instead of 6 feet to him. They were within 3 feet. So I need to document that as well. First thing I want to do is when I find out, my agent, as an agency, we're going to call Sonia and say, Sonia, we have Royce was potentially not was. Royce was exposed to someone with that tested COVID positive for COVID-19. We're going to make that phone call to Sonia. We're also going to document, because this happened during the course of this incident. We can attach this to this GR. How you can attach another event to a GR by simply clicking on add another event. So I'm going to add another event. For COVID-19, I do know it's under the other event type. So I'm going to select other. Under event type should be communicable disease. And for event type, I'm going to select COVID-19. And I can put in my time. We got to the emergency room around 1:30. So I'm going to put in my times here. All of the above. And Well, maybe I should say discovered around 1:30. We didn't actually see that happen. So let's just say it was discovered. Specific location, we can say other, and maybe we can say ER/hospital. And then I can go in and put in my summary that while we were sitting in the waiting room, waiting on treatment for bruise to right ankle, during the course of the visit and seeing the doctor about that, we were informed by the doctor that there was a patient in the ER that was near Royce that tested positive to COVID-19. I could put all of that in. Here, also remember to refer back to your Alabama COVID-19 memo document, which will give you all of these types of fields, whether you need to make it a high notification, etc. You might have to go back in and make some changes to your notification level since you're adding this component to your GER if this was to happen that way. All right. Just wanted to show you how it worked, so that it is there for you. So you click next. Oh, have an error message because I didn't mark it. I know. All right. So again, once you add those things, these events, you have it right here for you. So we have our injury, we have our other. Of course, if you are the person that's submitting the GER, and of course we have busy days at our job, you may not be able to go through all 4 steps that we see across the top. Maybe you have a meeting, maybe you have a phone call that you need to take. You just need to step away from your desk. But you're right here, and you don't see a save button, and Therap does not auto save. But I don't want to risk losing my information because I know if I let my computer sit idle or my device sit idle for X amount of time, the system will kick me out, and whatever I was working on, whatever information I was working on will be lost, and I don't want to have to enter it in again. What can I do? You don't see the word save, but it's here. If you click preview, preview will allow you to look over step 1 and step 2 of what you've already entered it into the system. But at the very bottom, here's where you're going to see that save button, and you can save it. And then you can log out and go take care of whatever it is that you need to take care of. Just know when you click save, so I'll just go ahead and click save. When I click save, it goes to my dashboard. That saved document goes to your dashboard and it will be housed in your to-do tab. Let's give the system a moment to refresh. There it is. It's in my to-do tab, and it will show up under General Event Reports, GER. Right up under, you see the word work list. Anytime you see the word work list in your to-do tab, pretty much that means you've clicked on the word save and you're saving a document. And that means that you have not finished and you want to come back and finish that document. So I can either click on the word work list to open it back up, or either click on the number, and there it is. Notice my status says in prep, meaning I'm still working on it. I can click on it. It's going to open it back up, but it's going to open it back up in a review form where we left off, in a preview or review type. And I can scroll down to the section that is blank to actually enter in that information. So as I scroll, here we are. I get to the section that says actions taken. Nothing is there. I just simply click edit and it will open the GER back up. And notice we're at step 3 where we left off. And I can put in my corrective actions. Notice your corrective actions is what is your immediate response to that incident. What is the immediate response to the incident? So in this case, my immediate response was tie Roy's shoes and take up the rug. Because originally it started off with him tripping because his shoes were untied and he tripped over the rug. That was my immediate response. He was taken to the ER as well. These are all corrective actions, your immediate response to the incident. My plan of future corrective actions is more or less of long term. Dealing with the first part of my scenario with the Royce shoes, maybe in the future, Royce will get a pair of loafers or Velcro shoes since he has a problem with keeping his shoes tied. We will follow doctor's orders from ER visit and so forth. If you had to have a special team meeting. So these are all planned or future corrective actions. All right. Then you have your notifications. Of course, we have to notify someone that things have taken place. If it's our direct support staff, they're going to notify the supervisor. If it's the supervisor, they're going to notify Sonia or someone in her team that some incident has taken place. So again, we want to just go ahead and put in on our GER the people that were notified. So again, if I am the direct support staff filling this out on behalf of a direct support staff, I may say I notified my supervisor. And I'm going to put in this check mark that says notified. And I can elaborate and say who was my supervisor, put in Shay's name. Shay is my supervisor. I have the date and I can change the date. What time did I notify my supervisor about the incident? Maybe I notified Shay about the fall as soon as it happened, around 1:05 p.m. How did I notify my supervisor? By phone. I can go in and add more notifications by clicking on this button that says add more notifications. All right. So then maybe I need to go in and say that I notify Sonia. Because we had a COVID-19 here. Sonia, and I can say, we were at the emergency room and we found out maybe around 1:40 when the doctor came back in. I can go in and put in my time around that. So we found out about 1:35. I called Sonia around 1:40 immediately while we were still in the ER. How did we notify her? By phone. And you want to go in and put in all your notifications as well. Once you have all that in, you're going to simply click preview. Once you click preview, you can scroll and look at your entire GER from its entirety, what you put in. If you need to make any changes, you would just simply click on the edit button next to that particular section that you need to have some changes made. You're going to put it in. Once you're done, most of the time, I direct support staff or anyone else, we're going to click submit. In this case, because we have things built into the system, I got this error message. It says this GER includes injury event severity, therefore notification level has to be high. Even though we follow the guidelines of the Alabama Incident Mapping Document, I'm showing you from a demo account, and in our demo account, we have it set up to where if certain things are marked a certain way, you can set it up that certain things have to be required in your account. So I just need to go in and make this, make changes to this real quick and make it a high. and I click submit. And we've done the GER. Of course, you've done this on probably several times by now. You completed the GER. Here's my question to you. And you can reply back to Shay, Katie, and myself in the question box. So the question that we have going, and you can put your answer in the question box, is if you're the person that submitted the GER, can you be the same person to approve the GER? What's your answer, yes or no? So I have one person so far. Anybody else? Everybody's agreeing? Nobody wants to say yes? All right. Thank you, Stephanie. So that answer is what you heard. The answer is no. All right. If you submit the GER, you cannot be the person to approve that GER. Just want you to be mindful of that. So if you're the person that's submitting it, you cannot be the person to approve it. The GER does not get to Sonia, Jean, or anyone else at Region 3 that may be entitled to that GER. It does not arrive to them until it is approved. As Shay talked about earlier, it does not, they do not get that GER until it has been approved from your agency. So yes, following the incident mapping document, you need to have it called when it says call, but you also have to have it approved by the time it's supposed to be done so that it would get to them in a timely manner. All right. Just remember, it does not get to the regional office until it has been approved. All right. Are there any questions about submitting the GER, which I'm quite sure it's not?
Devin, we don't have any questions in the question box.
All right, Katie, thank you. So going back to my dashboard here, for those of you who are the reviewers at your agency, when you're on your dashboard in your to-do tab, just want to point out these three